Shalom, shalom. How's it going, everybody? Starting a little early. We'll do a little chit-chatting until the rest of the people get here. I don't know if I'm a man, myth, or a legend, but I appreciate the comments. I'm tired already, and we haven't even got started. I'm trying to drink some energy drink here. I'm dad. I'll be your dad. I'll adopt you, J Delta. Even though you break my stuff. We'll try to start right at 8 tonight, I guess. It's not going to be too jam-packed. We're actually going to have a pretty chill chat. I hope. What's up, Sick in the Mind? How you doing? Nikto, yeah, Nikto's going to be on the schedule. You know him well? That's awesome. I feel like I know somebody that used to work with him. Did he at one point work at GE? Does that ring a bell? RVA Sec. Hey, Rory. You know, I applied to talk at RVA Sec, and I'm an idiot and submitted a 30-minute talk. Didn't read the guidelines that it's supposed to be an hour. So everybody I know that submitted got picked up, which is cool. A couple of my ex-coworkers got picked up. I mean, I could turn my talk into an hour, but I definitely submitted. I talked to my ex-coworker today. He said you need to message this Jake guy. Somebody, is it Jake? Or info at and talk to them, but I haven't done that quite yet. Because I haven't gotten the reject yet. I've just gotten I'm in the waiting period. I feel like they're still waiting to see who accepts and who rejects, and they may move on to some other ones. I feel like I'm in that waiting period on the other ones. You could put in a good word. I'd love to come up to RVA Sec. I'd be in debt to you. All right, we're going to get started. So, as always, a little death by PowerPoint, not too bad. I've got 3 slides tonight. I swear it's getting smaller and smaller as we go. Let's see where we got it. And this is 1 out of 3 slides, so. Tonight's agenda, we are going to be talking about scanning mostly. So, we're going to be doing some scanning. In order to talk about scanning, we need to talk about some protocols. Those protocols are TCP and UDP. We're just going to briefly cover what those are. We're going to talk about the 3-way handshake, which is important because you need to know how we're scanning in terms of stealth scanning with Nmap and how that works out. So something you might see come up in an interview, they may ask you to explain the 3-way handshake or to explain how a stealth handshake exists or stealth scanning exists. So after we do that, we're going to go right into scanning tools and tactics. Got quite a bit of tools I want to cover for you tonight. Some that I don't see covered a lot, like BurpSuite in terms of scanning. Just show you some of the benefits of Burp Pro. and kind of go from there. But you'll also see Nessus. I was going to show you my Nessus Pro, but it looks like they actually have a free version out for 16 or less hosts, so I'm just going to show you that. And we're gonna learn how to install a bunch of that stuff. Of course, we're gonna cover Nmap. We're gonna cover some Metasploit. We're gonna get into your first lesson or introduction to Metasploit, which is a tool we haven't seen yet, but we will use a lot. So we'll cover quite a bit. Okay, let's talk TCP versus UDP real quick. So when we do port scanning, typically we're going to be scanning on the TCP side. However, it is would be incorrect of you to not scan the UDP side as well. There are some tools that only run on UDP, some protocols that only run on UDP that would be important that you would not want to miss if you are if you're doing some scanning. So when we talk about TCP, TCP is connection oriented. It has a handshake, right? So we're talking about that three-way handshake. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to see a live view. We're going to use Wireshark tonight and see what that looks like. And it's used on applications requiring high reliability. So some examples of that would be HTTP, FTP, Telnet, anything that you would need some sort of connection to, right? On the other hand, you have UDP, which is connectionless. It doesn't have a handshake. And basically, it's used on applications that require a fast connection. So DNS, DHCP, SNMP. Really, we don't need high reliability for these protocols, right? We just need some sort of fast connection. So with that much said, we're going to cover TCP and UDP more in depth as we go along. Let's just get right into it. So let's kill this. I've got my Kali session up here. We're going to go full screen. Ah, the jokes. I love the jokes. And I realized that I just did that whole PowerPoint presentation and didn't switch the screen because I'm a terrible person. Terrible. I'm off my game tonight. You don't need the PowerPoint. I'll throw it up for a quick second, though. Just so you guys can see. There's the cute little chart I made for you guys. Yeah, I'm a pro streamer. So here's your little chart. If you need to see that, you could pause the video later on. Cheers. Okay, so now going into our lesson. First, we're going to talk about the three-way handshake. And to do that, we're going to open up Wireshark. So let's do Wireshark, and let's type in an ampersand after that. And we're doing this just so we can start up a process and run it. And if you get an error, that's completely fine. No, that link isn't valid. I realized that I need to change that link. Sorry, guys. Here, I'll shoot you a Discord link right now. I've made some minor changes. Actually, if you go to the website, you can. If you go there, you can get the Discord link right off the front page. If not, I'll send it out later. Okay, so we're in Wireshark. All we're gonna do here is just hit start capturing. Make sure you're on your ETH 0. You're gonna see a bunch of stuff starting to come through. But this is UDP protocol. We need to make some sort of connection. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go out to the interwebs. And we're going to just go to a website. Our favorite, probably Tesla.com, right, from last week. We'll make that connection. Okay. And it came through in here. There we go. Okay, so my guess is that 172.217.164.72 is the Tesla website, just on a hunch. So when we're using Wireshark, what we're doing right now is intercepting traffic. If you've never seen that, we're just kind of listening in and capturing all the traffic that's coming through. So when we talk about this TCP handshake, we're talking about a process that goes SYN, SYNAC, ACK. So what happens is over TCP, you see right here where we're starting, you see my IP address of 192.168.202.129 is reaching out to this destination and saying, hey, I want to connect to you. So this is what is considered a SYN packet. We send a SYN packet out. Now, the application reaches back out to us, and it says, hey, I see your request, and I'm also going to acknowledge it. So here's the ACK. And this is where SYN ACK comes from. Once we get that acknowledgement, we know, hey, that port is open. We can make that connection. We're going to go ahead and send an ACK back to the client one more time here. And we're going to say, okay, the client says hello, meaning we've fully established that connection. So when we do scanning, we're going to be using Nmap. Now, Nmap works a little differently. By default, it's running something called stealth scan. And you might have seen it something like SS, right? With the stealth scan in the past. We don't have to use that anymore. Somebody here taught me that a few streams back. So when we do a scan here, let me open up just a little leaf pad. When we did the original, right? We did a SYN, we did SYN ACK, and then we did ACK. Okay. When we do stealth scanning, we say SYN, the port comes back and says SYN ACK, and we send a message out that says RST for reset. Basically, we say just kidding. Now, this is no longer that stealthy. Maybe it was stealthy back in the day. It gets picked up, but this is the most common way of scanning, is sending that reset. So what we're doing is we're reaching out for connection. The client says, yeah, that port's open. I'll let you connect. And we just say, hey, just kidding, I don't want to connect. But Nmap will come back and it'll say, okay, well, that port's definitely open, so here you go, I'm going to report on that. All right. J Delta, I'll get a hold of you after that. I'll message you somewhere, all right? Okay. So let's go ahead and look at our first scanning tool. So the most common scanning tool you're going to be seeing is going to be Nmap. So it stands for Network Mapper, I believe. And we can just type in Nmap like this, do a -- help. And we can see all the resources. And let me blow this up for you guys here. We can see all the resources that Nmap has to offer. So I'm already seeing it come through in the chat. People have their ideas of what they like to run. They run different things. I'm going to show you the Cyber Mentors method. It is not the best method. It's not the worst method. It's my method, right? So you might see some other ones come through. Check them out. Find what works for you. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks and ideas that I like to think about. And you can kind of take my ideas and go wild with it. So when we're looking through here, we've got a few things that we can do. We can do a ping scan, like a port or a ping sweep. You've got a few things like this capital PN I've used before just to treat all the hosts online. Really, we're curious about scanning techniques. The most common, like I talked about, is the stealth scan in here. But they've got quite a bit that you can search from. Same thing, the UDP scan has its own flag. They've got some special ones like the Christmas scan that's in here. So really, we're going to focus on just my syntax. But if you need help with syntax, you can come through here and look at some of this stuff. One of the more important ones, too, is this output. If you want to save your stuff to a file, a -on will put it out to a normal file or a text file. You could do a -oa to put everything out to all the formats. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Somebody asked if there's going to be a Q&A session after the course. Yes, there will be a Q&A session. All right. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be scanning an IP in my network, and then later on we're going to be attacking Tesla again, staying in scope, of course. So first and foremost, we need to find what IP addresses might be up in our network. So we're going to do what is called a ping sweep. If you remember from the first video, we built out our own ping sweeper. And you'll notice that when we use Nmap's ping sweep, sometimes it's not all that reliable. So I'm going to just sweep my whole network, something like this. So all I'm saying is Nmap, I like to think of SN as sweep network. I don't know what it stands for. And then I put in an IP address here, and all we're going to be doing is sending out those ICMP packets and saying, hey, are you up? And we're going to go ahead and send that out. It should be relatively quick. Some of these we're going to let just scan off, right? And they're going to take some time. Okay, so if you look at how this looks, it says everything is up, right? 242, 243. I don't have this many devices in my network. I do know for a fact 254 is up because 254 is my router. You guys can see that I'm on lovely AT&T here. Somebody said if you don't understand the /24 after my IP, speak up. You are more than welcome to ask about that if you need. I have a video on subnetting insider notation that you can watch, but the prereq to this course is some basic networking knowledge, so hopefully you all get that. Okay, so for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be targeting my router sitting here at 192.168.1.254. So I'm just going to run by default. Very, very, very basic scan. This isn't a scan that I would run normally. This is just to show a proof of concept. Okay, so I'm running Nmap. I'm running this T4 thing, and then I'm putting in an IP address. Okay, I hit enter, and it's going to do a scan. So I didn't put in some important information, and we're going to develop and build our Nmap scan as we go. Some important information that's missing. Well, let's talk about what's here first. So we see the T4. The T4 is a speed, so we can put T1 through T5. Now T1 is very slow, T1 is incredibly fast. The faster you scan, the more likely you are to miss something and perhaps be detected. But this isn't really the stealthiest of scanning as it is. Another thing that we didn't enter in is we didn't enter in any ports. So there is a switch of P when we want to use ports that we can define our range. You know, there's 1 through 65,000. I don't know the whole number. But when you have that range, you can define it. But if you don't define it, then all it's going to do is search through the top 1,000 common ports. So we just searched the common 1,000. But if I do just the common 1,000, somebody said 65,355. Thank you for that. So if we search the top 1,000, we're going to miss quite a bit. What if I've got an open port on this router or this machine that's sitting at like 47,000, just as an example? If I scan the top 1,000, I'm going to miss that. So you're only hurting yourself if you don't scan every single port in the TCP range. So we are scanning TCP right now. We're going to be covering UDP here in a minute. 65,535 is actually the answer. Okay, so what we have done is we've found at least what kind of ports are open, and we can start building information here based on what we see, right? Well, we're running DNS. Okay. We're running a web server. We're running a HTTPS web server. We've got some filtered shell here and filtered RPC bind. When it says filtered, you know, I'm not certain that that's actually open. It could be a false positive, or it could be open, but it truly is filtered and we have no access to it. So looking at this, I would probably want to scan this more in depth. So when we're looking at it, let's start adding some things that may add depth to this. Now I'm going to show you, just as a time saver, The method that I use typically for hack the box or for anything, even if I'm doing a quick scan when I'm in a network, this is pretty much my all-inclusive go-to, have memorized, etc. And it's not very complicated at all. So my scan looks something like this. Now, I'm going to hit enter on this. This will take who knows how long. This could take over an hour depending on how long it's going to scan. And we're going to talk theories and methods here in a second on how we can improve upon this. Okay, so what I'm doing here is we're doing Nmap, and we're doing it with that T4 scanning, right? So the T4 is the speed. I like to use T4. I don't usually use T5 or T3. I've learned on T4 and it seemed to work just fine for me. This dash A. Now this dash A is for all. Now if we scroll back up through my whole list here and we go back to the dash help, if you look at dash A enables OS detection, version detection, script scanning, and trace route. Basically, what we're doing is we're doing a lot of these that are already in here, like a dash O, that's OS detection. So we can aggregate a lot of what we're finding here into one switch of a dash A. So basically, all I'm asking for is as much information as possible, and then I put in a dash P for port, but if I cap it off with another dash like this, then I'm asking for all ports. Now you could write this with the dash P and then throw in a specific port, which I'll show you here in a second. But in this instance, I like to scan every single thing on TCP. Now, and then I put in the IP address, and that's what we're going to scan. Let me go ahead and open up a new tab, and we're going to talk theory. Okay. Actually, let's look at this here. So, I scan this network, and I scan the top 1,000. And then we came down here, and I scanned this network, and I'm scanning intensely. This dash A is intense, right? We're doing quite a bit of heavy work here. We're doing it against all ports, and we're scanning here. Now, what we're looking for is a way to maybe improve upon this scan. And the tactic that we can use to improve upon this scan is something called staging. When we talk about staging, we talk about first scanning quickly and then scanning more technically. Right? So I would want to do something, instead of running this, let's just copy this and let's talk about how we can improve, and we'll do a theoretical little leaf pad here. Instead of doing this first, what if I just said nmap T4 ports. Okay. Dash A is not all ports. Dash P dash is all ports. Dash A is all inclusive, more so than just OS version. Dash O is OS version. Okay. So, when we come into here, and since there's some confusion from the chat about dash A, let's go back to help. Dash A is OS detection, version detection, script scanning, and trace route. There are individual things in here for that. There's OS detection, right? Dash O. Version detection is dash SV. So it kind of combines a lot of these probes that you would see in some other scans. Dash A just does it all for you. Now dash A is doing 4 different things at once, which is heavy lifting. And this is what we're talking about, the heavy lifting. So when we talk about staging, what if I were to scan like so? let's say I scanned with this syntax, right? I scanned the -p dash. I scanned all ports, the T4, but I didn't include this -a, so it's not as intensive. Well, let's just copy this here. Let's say that it returned this scan here. We see these ports. Okay, so if I come into here and I want to get a detailed scan, it would make a lot more sense to me that instead of putting the ports here of all ports and scanning every port within depth, you'd want to stage it out, right? So instead, maybe 53, 80, 111, 443, 514. So if we scan everything, it's going to take a lot of time. If we scan the 5 ports that we found open, it's going to take significantly less time. So if you're working on like a capture the flag, or you're working hack the box, you're doing some sort of race against the time, this is probably the go-to. Now, I will admit to you that I often come through here and I just run this really quick when I'm running a scan. There's nothing wrong with this, it's just tedious. Now, for those of you who are overachievers, we can make this even better. We could do something along the lines of taking this, right? And we'll come down here. And what if we put it into an output of all, and you just say, whatever, you just give it a name of client. Right? So it'll give you a client.text, a client.xml. Let's see what the output all gives you. Gives you the 3 majors. So a .text, an XML, and a script kiddie and graphable format. So it gives you 4, it looks like. Well, it says 3 major. I don't think the script kiddie is a major one. Okay, so it gives you those 3, right? And you can take these results, now that they're stored, again, they come out and they come into these files. Now, you could build something that says, okay, we'll find the results that come out of this scan in particular, looking for this client name or whatever we entered in here. It could be a $1 for a variable or an entry, right, that we talked about in the previous weeks. You could take that logic and you can say, grep through a file, search through a file for all open ports that you found, and then append those into this list here, and then search. So you could do your own staging script to make this work. These are just some advanced thoughts. We're not going to get into that today, but these are things you should be thinking about, is how to stage, how to improve in ways that you can just do things a little bit faster. So in my job, we have something that was built before my time, but basically it does something similar to this, and then it goes out and it runs a bunch of if statements, right? So say, for example, it says, if port 80 is open, I want to run Nikto scans on it. I may run some kind of dirbuster or dirb on it. And we'll talk about those tools here in a little bit. But you can start adding and chaining more and more and more and build out these scripts to where you're letting it do all the work for you. This is where scripting becomes super powerful. So, food for thought. We're going to move on. Okay, so you can pretty much hit any button. I typically hit the up arrow when I want to check on my scan. It says we've got 33 minutes remaining. We'll see how long that actually is. You could also do a -V for verbose, and there's a status update every so many minutes one in here as well. I forget what that one is. I never use those. So the question is from Sick in the Mind that you've got a script that's similar to this and you want to share it. You're absolutely welcome to share it. Save it for me too, and I'll share it in Discord if you don't mind. Okay, I'm gonna take a drink real quick. What kind of drink? I've got a Monster because I'm tired. I don't sleep. Okay. So we've talked about scanning the TCP side of the house. Question came in, what's the difference between -A, -P- and just -P-? Okay, so -A is it's the intense scanning, right? We're intense scanning all ports, so 65,000 ports here. We don't know if they're open or they're not open. Now, when we're just scanning the -P-, we're not doing it intensely. This will be much quicker because we're not doing the -A. The -A takes a lot more time. So that's where the theory comes in that -A on a few ports that you find as opposed to a bunch of ports at once will save you quite a bit of time. The -A affects everything you tell it to scan. The question is, does the -A affect all ports? It affects everything you tell it to scan. All right, little sidetracked here. So let's talk about scanning with UDP here. So you've seen the -SS. We don't have to use it anymore. So if you wanted to scan a UDP, the syntax looks something like this. At least in my case. And you could pretty much hit enter here. I never use T5, never. Okay, so UDP is highly unreliable. UDP takes forever, as somebody already said, and there's a big reason behind my syntax here. I did not include the top, or I only included the top 1,000 ports. As you can see, it said we scanned 1,000 ports. If we were to try to scan 65,000 ports on UDP, it would take hours. Just hours. So also, there's a lot of false positives that come up. You really can't trust a UDP scan. Not to say that UDP scans are not important. You can find some interesting information on that side, but typically they're hard to trust, right? And they're time consuming. Basically, when I'm doing scanning, I let Nessus try to find that. If Nessus doesn't find it, then so be it. We can find interesting information like SNMP and have a public community string, things like that could become really fun if we can find some things on UDP. Just know that 95% of your work's going to be on TCP. However, if you're taking something like the OSCP or you're doing Hack the Box or even real life environment, you should not neglect UDP because there will be something there. And if you miss it, you're going to miss it. So just know to look under all the stones. Don't just focus every time on TCP or you're going to miss things. All right. Other than that, one more thing with Nmap I want to show you, then we're going to move on. So if we ls user share Nmap scripts. Now, this is all the scripts that are available to us via Nmap. We have a script feature that I'm going to show you. We could pick any one of these scripts, or we can do a -all for these as well to try to do some vulnerability scanning. Some really cool stuff in here. If you look through it, I use some of these from time to time. There's one that I really like to use, and I'm going to show you. But say, for example, you think that there is Eternal Blue running on a computer. You see a Windows 7 machine. It's got SMB. You have a hunch, right? You have a hunch that Eternal Blue is running. And if you don't know what Eternal Blue is, that's fine. Just say you have a hunch on a vulnerability. This vulnerability specifically is MS17-010. And you want to know if the machine is vulnerable, if it thinks it is. You can grab this script and try to run it and see what Nmap thinks. There's quite a few things if you just scroll through here. I couldn't tell you what 90% of them do, but a quick Google on something in here might help you. And that's where it's going to come into enumeration. We're going to talk about enumeration next week, and this becomes way, way more important. So we're going to use one script just for the fun of it. And this is a script that I use on pretty much every web app assessment. The path is user share nmap scripts. I don't know what Voldemort info.nsc is. You can check that out and let us know. Enumeration is the most important thing you'll ever need in your hacking career. If you cannot enumerate, you will not be successful as a penetration tester. It just comes down to that. Honestly boils down to that. People want to jump right into the exploitation, but if you cannot do the research, you cannot look around, you're going to have a lot of problems. All right. So let's use one of my favorite scripts. So I like to check for ciphers. When I'm doing a web page assessment, I like to see what kind of ciphers they're running. Typically, you're not going to find anything that's going to be super exploitable. Most of the cipher exploitations require some sort of man-in-the-middle attack. You're not going to get that lucky, but it's good for reporting, right? So what we can do is we can scan, and let's just look at, let's do port 443. And the script is, we just do -- script like this, we could say equals. Now, if we wanted to run all scripts against a host, and I do not recommend doing this against the host we're about to use, but you can do it on your own or against a Hack-the-Box or VulHub if you want. You can do equals all. It'll run all the scripts in that folder. That'll be some time consumption. The one I like to use in particular is SSL enum ciphers, just like that. And we're going to go ahead and just say tesla.com. Hit enter. This is going to sit here and scan tesla.com for all the ciphers. What it's going to look for is all the ciphers it has is going to give you a rating on all the ciphers, and then it's going to give you the least strength of a cipher. If you look at this, you can see that Tesla does a very, very good job of keeping their ciphers up to date. And it shows what returns back on all of these. So everything looks like it's TLS. It's got all the different types of ciphers. And the key of least strength here, I mean, we're still dealing with an A. So very, very impressive on their behalf. Usually you see something in there that's a C or a D for a lot of websites that you look at. So, but yeah, that's scripts. There's also tools on the web that can do this, but just know that Nmap is fully capable of doing a lot of things that you can go do out on the web. All right, that is all I have for Nmap. We're going to move into other products now. Let's go ahead and download Nessus. We're going to need to spend some time with Nessus and get that running. That way we can do a scan and work on some other tools as well. So I have intentionally not downloaded Nessus on this machine. Let's go ahead and go out to the website here. I'm just going to go Google and then Nessus Home. There's a free home version out there. Now, you do need to put in your name, first name, last name, email address to register. I'm going to use random stuff here because I have an activation code somewhere floating around here. Just register. Once you register, it'll give you the option to go to the download page. Go ahead and click download. I need to grab my key real quick while we're talking. All right, so what we're doing is we need to download, we're using Debian, right? Debian Kali. So we're going to download our Debian file here. Just click on this button, agree to their terms, save the file. Let that download. Some of you may have slower connections, so I'll give you a minute. And then I'm going to pull up my key as well. Uno momento, por favor. Okay. So let's go to our downloads folder, wherever you downloaded it. LS should be in there, right? We've got the Nessus file here. So if you've never installed a .deb file here, we are going to do dpackage like this, -i, Nessus. And I downloaded the wrong one because I'm an idiot. So give me a second. I downloaded the 32-bit. Don't be like me. There should be a 64-bit floating around somewhere. Or I could be way off base here. There it is. A little bit down the page, guys. All right. Let's try it again. Dpackage -i, Nessus, and we are using AMD 64. Okay, now this is installing. This will take just a second. And it's done. All right, so you can see it tells you to start your Nessus scanner by typing in this etc init.d nessusd start. We covered what that does in week 1, right? And now we're going to navigate out to HTTPS Kali 8834. This is pretty default. You can also use your local host if you'd like. Add the exception, confirm the exception. All right, you can create an account now. And we're installing the home, professional, or manager. We're going to use the activation code that we downloaded. And that's not it. I can't copy paste to this workstation. I forgot about that. So we're going to type it out the old-fashioned way. Bonus points if you can steal my activation code. All right, setup's complete. Yep, this is going to be a long part, so we're going to actually skip around, bounce around here for a minute while this is going. Print screen. You can have this one. This is the home version. Thanks for the sub, Pone. I appreciate it. Okay, so this will take a minute. And let's check on our scan over here. We're still at 25 minutes. And 17 minutes has gone by, but we've only lost 8 minutes, which is not a good sign for us. You want to hack Facebook, you need social engineering. For the most part, there's other methods. That would probably be your easiest route. All right. While we wait, we are going to look at Metasploit. As a tool, it is a fantastic scanner of all sorts. We're going to be talking about using its portscan feature, which I don't really use. I'm just doing it as a proof of concept. But we're going to talk more importantly about the auxiliary feature and the fact that there is a scanner in Metasploit. I will open this. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Okay. So, in order to start up Metasploit, we're going to just type in MSF console. Not in all caps, 'cause that's bad. This will also take a quick second to spin up, depending if it's your first time or not. I don't even know if this is our first time on this machine. It may be. Okay. So there are quite a few different features for Metasploit. I think there's 5 different types of module types. I'm not sure how many module types there are. The important ones to know is that there's the auxiliary, which is kind of like your beforehand, like your enumeration, your scanning. There is the exploitation, which is exactly what it sounds like. They're exploit modules. And there's post-exploit, which are things you can do once you have a session. So we'll be covering all of these if we need to as we go through the course, and you'll get it to work. Okay. So now, let's just go ahead and we're going to type in the word use. Actually, I'm going to show you a search first. We're going to search portscan. And you can see there's a few different port scanners in here if you look at auxiliary scanner. So it kind of goes by category, right? The first category is auxiliary. The second one is scanning. And then it tells you what it's going to do. Well, this is on HTTP, and this is a WordPress pingback access. The one we're looking for is we want to do a scan, right? We can either do a TCP scan or a SYN scan. It's got a bunch of different ones here. And we can just copy and paste this. So we're going to say use. We'll paste this in here. A couple things we can do here. If we want to find out what a module is all about when we go into it, we can say info. Gives us a little bit of information on it. So it says the TCP SYN port scanner, tells you who it was built by, and it gives you some of the basic options. Description here is enumerate open TCP services using a raw SYN scan. Now, we can also just type in options. Doesn't give us the whole shebang on the description. If you already know what you need, then we just kind of want to see what options we have. It's important to look through these and see what's already set and is required and what you still need to set. So if we look, this is scanning 1 through 1000 on ports. We might need to change that if we don't want to. It's scanning no rhost right now. So rhost is the remote host. We need to be able to set this. The number of threads, if we want to increase the number of threading that we do here to increase the speed of these scans, we can. It looks like they've got delays, batch size, etc. Importantly, what we're just going to be doing for basic syntax right now is we are going to say set and then ports. And I'm just going to change it to 1 to 65, 535. And then we're going to set an rhost. So set rhost, and we're just going to say 192.168.1.254. So you'll notice as we go along that there's rhost and there's rhosts. Rhost is when you can only supply one address. In the situation where you see an S on the end of it, you can apply multiple, you can apply a range, some sort of CIDR identifier as it says. Here, we are just going to be scanning one address, which is absolutely fine. And we can type in now run, or you can type in exploit if you want to feel cool. And this will start scanning as well. Now, all this is going to do is tell you if a port is open or if a port is closed. And with all this traffic going to my router, if I deny myself service, it was nice knowing you guys. We'll see what my router can really hold up to. Okay, I'm actually going to kill this. Just want to show you proof of concept on how to run something in here. Most importantly though, if we go back to use, let me just double tab. There's 3,800 possibilities. No, we won't do that. We'll do auxiliary, and then we'll double tab. There's still 1,000 auxiliary. All right. So if you come through here, you can see all the different types of things that it does. Auxiliary admin, you just hit space. Auxiliary denial of service. Windows, auxiliary fuzzing, gather, information gathering here, scanning, all kinds of stuff. There is so much that Metasploit can do. It's amazing. What you want to know, and hit Q if you want to get out of this situation that you're in. What you want to know is what you're looking for. So say, for example, we found a Tomcat server, and this really falls under enumeration that we're going to cover next week. But say we found a Tomcat server and we're looking for exploits. You want to narrow it down to like search Tomcat. Okay, then we can see what kind of things we have to maybe work with. Tomcat administration tool, default access. There's a directory traversal. There's a denial of service. There's Tomcat user enumeration. There's a manager login. There's a bunch of stuff in here. So you might have to do some research as to what they are, and that's all part of the enumeration. So let's go back and check on our Nessus, see how far we are. Oh, we're logged in. Nice. Okay, so we get to scan up to 16 devices in our network. Perfect. We're only scanning one. At least I am. You can scan as many as you want. Now you can see what kind of things are prevented from being scanned here. A lot of this has to deal with compliance and auditing. So if you don't have the pro version, you don't get to do compliance and auditing, it's fine. Most of the time we can use this basic network scan. You can also dive around in the advanced scan if you want and see what that's like. I used to use the advanced scan pretty heavily, and now I've gone to just the basic scan because I feel like it still catches everything that I need. So on this tab, we've got our settings, which we're going to be setting here in a second. We've got credentials if we need to send an authenticated session, say SSH or Windows, and we want to scan internally on a machine. We can supply credentials and get a little bit more information out of that machine. And then there's also different types of plugins that we have that we can run for. You can see all the different types of things it's looking for. It tells you plugin information as you click on it. So it's looking for example for Cisco, it's looking for a vulnerability in the iOS firewall. It tells you more information. So these are the plugins. It's best to keep your plugins up to date if you can so that you're scanning the latest and the greatest. So typically when you're doing a penetration test and you're scanning, at least on the external side, you're not going to be given credentials. They're trying to make it as realistic as possible. Even if we're on the internal side, typically you're not given credentials. The only time we're ever really given credentials is for web apps. And that's a whole different story and a whole different beast. So we have to earn our credentials, and typically this is more for like an auditing purpose, or I've used this in the past when I've been in another role to run an Nmap scan fully onto a system. So when we look at this basic scan, let's just give it a name. You can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it my first scan. And I tend to just copy and paste that into the description as well. It gives you a folder you want to select. I just leave it as a default, my scans. And then lastly, we need an IP address that we're going to be testing, which for me is 1.254. Now you can do all sorts of things. You could do 192.168.1.0 slash, say 29 or whatever here. And you can do like tesla.com. You can set all sorts of different methods here as long as you're separating by a comma. Okay, we can enable a schedule if we want. This is a trick if you want to get your scans going at 8 a.m. if you know you can start your work at 8 a.m. A nice little trick is to have your scan email started or your pen test beginning email start. So typically we send out an email that says, hey, we're about to start a pen test, just letting you know. Usually that goes out at the beginning of the day, and at the end of the day it says, hey, we're stopping pen testing for the day. So you could schedule an email to send out at 8 o'clock, and you can also schedule your scan to start at 8 o'clock as well, so that they both start and you're doing a little bit of automated work. All right, so no schedule here. You can also notify yourself if you wanted, but you need SMTP setup. Discovery. So the scan type by default is port scan on common ports. We're going to change this to port scan of all ports. You see that it's going to use a SYN scanner if necessary. It's going to use NetStat if credentials are provided. We're not going to do that. Using fast network discovery, TCP, ARP, and it's going to try ICMP twice to find discovery. This is very loud. So we are loud intentionally. That's almost the whole part of being a penetration tester versus a red teamer, right? We are intentionally loud. We want you to see our scanning activity. We want you to know we're there because we can help you tune your SIM. It can help get your blue team in line. And if you're not seeing these scans, what else are you missing, right? So if you're not seeing the very loud scans, that's absolutely going to be a finding on a report. So it's important as a pen tester to try to be loud to at least help the blue team, catch some things and see what they're missing, what they're not. So we're going to go ahead and say port scan all ports. And we come in here. I typically leave this default. I have in the past scanned for web vulnerabilities complex, but if you're doing a network external, it's really not important to, even internal, to be scanning for web vulnerabilities on the complex side, unless you're doing a web app of some sort. So we've talked about this in previous streams, but I'll mention it here. When we're doing an external assessment and it has a website, like say port 80 or port 443 is open, which is kind of common, your job is not to be looking for issues with the website unless there's something that is particularly like out of place. Like if you get to the website and it has a login screen, then maybe you'll try to do password spraying like we talked about last week. Or you'll do credential stuffing like we talked about last week, or you might try SQL injection. But you're not going to create an account, go in there, say, hey, can I find cross-site scripting? What kind of headers are running on this server? Your job's not to do a web app assessment for that, or else they're going to pay for a web app assessment, right? They're two different things. So what we're looking for is if it provides some sort of easy access via the web, okay, well, that's kind of in scope. If you're sitting there looking for specific vulnerabilities on the website, that's really kind of out of scope. So if we're doing network pen testing, which is what we're focusing on, we're going to leave the scan type set to default. You have override normal verbosity. This is all default. This is fine. The advanced side, let's see what's in here. Scan low bandwidth links. I just leave this to default typically. We hit save. And then you come to this screen where it says my first scan. You hit this little launch button and launch off the scan. What can you do with your points? You want a t-shirt? I don't have any t-shirts. But we'll have a raffle here soon enough. I don't think you were around for the first raffle, were you? Let's check this guy while we're at it too. So another 15 minutes have passed, and we've actually only gone down about a minute. So when I say network pen testing, would I consider that being called host system pen testing? Yeah, host or system pen testing is another way to say it. Donate for stickers. I do have stickers. I owe you a sticker, Ion, but I emailed you, never gave me your address, so you don't want a sticker that bad. Nobody wants my merchandise. All right, so with our Nessus scan, you can click in here and kind of watch it as it goes. You see we're at 0% right now. And you look at the vulnerabilities. It's got a count of 4. it's starting to find some stuff. Like it found 53, found 80, 443. 10999. It found an open port. So it's got some things here, right? And these are the kind of things that we miss when we just scan with the top 1000, right? So critical to scan everything you can. Now, we're going to let this run. It's going to be a minute. It may even take the whole time. What we'll do, too, is if we run out of time or whatever it is, we'll go ahead and just check back in on the scans during the AMA and see if we can find any information, because this guy is running slow. All right. So while we wait on these two guys, we are going to do some web scanning. So there's two really popular web scanners. One is free, one is kind of free. So the popular is Nikto, and that is built into everything with Nmap here. So it's built in, or not Nmap, sorry, it's built into Kali. And we're going to be running Nikto against Tesla. So go ahead and pull up Tesla if you want. You don't really have to. We're going to close. We're going to exit out of this. And you can run Nikto from anywhere. Just type in Nikto. And if we hit enter, it should give you some information. Okay, we didn't specify a host. That's fine. Let's see if we do a Nikto-help like this. Same stuff. Unknown feature. A -H is for a host, so we got to supply a host. Capital H. Learn to read. There you go. I knew that didn't look right. So there's quite a bit of features in here. Typically, we're going to be running this just as is, but do know that there's quite a bit of things in here that you can do if you wanted to get advanced. So I want to run a scan against Tesla. I'm going to say Nikto-H for host, and then we're just going to say HTTPS. Unless it's HTTP, then we'll run it against that. We'll just say tesla.com. And it'll start pulling information out. At the end of the stream, can I post a summary of what we did? I do upload these videos. You have the option to watch it on Twitch or watch it on YouTube if you'd like. So either of those would work out if you wanted to recap what we did. I do try to timestamp on YouTube the best that I can. I don't timestamp the AMA just because we go through so many questions, but... All right, so we come in here, and this is basically just going to run a scan against all of this. So you see what it does for us. It pulls out an IP address of 209.133.79.61. It's tesla.com, port 443. It gives us the SSL info. It gives us their certificate, who the issue is, what kind of ciphers they're using. So a lot of information there. And then it's going to give us some more information. So it says the anti-clickjacking X-frame options header isn't present. If we're doing a web app, that's like a low finding. Same with the cross-site scripting header, that's a low finding. There's no strict transport security. These would all probably be on one finding, just that their headers are not set. X content type, same thing. So it just checks all the headers. And then now this is going to go through and it's going to look for, it's going to do some vulnerability scanning. It's going to see if it can pull any sort of information based on what's running on the web. And then it's going to say, hey, you should look into this, and this to see if you can exploit it. It'll do scanning and try to offer some suggestions on what might be exploitable. If it sees any type of, outdated frameworks or tools being run, then it'll kind of look into this. So we'll let that run as well, and we're going to dive into BurpSuite. Hey Em, how's it going? So I'm going to show you BurpSuite on here, and then I'm going to show you BurpSuite via my pen testing laptop, or VM I should say. So this is BurpSuite Community Edition, and I haven't even set it up. So let's see if it works. Oh, this is 1.7. Nice. This is old. They're on the 2 edition now, so you're going to see that mine looks just a little bit different. This is the most important tool that you can own. If you can invest $400 and if you want to do web apps and you want to do web apps right, you need to invest the $400 to get the Pro Edition. It has most of the tools in here, and we're not going to be covering 90% of what this does because we're not doing a web app lesson, right? But BurpSuite Pro has an active scanner. So if you come into the scanner here, you can see that you need BurpSuite Professional to do it. It is one of the most important tools that you can own that's on the professional side. That, and if you're starting a pen test company and you need to purchase 2 things and 2 things only, it's Nessus and it's BurpSuite. And that'll set you back maybe $2,500 to start your company. Maybe $3,000. So it is a yearly fee. Everybody wants their licensing. Okay. So this is kind of what it looks like. I'm going to introduce you to the Pro version so we can actually talk about scanning. Hey, I paid $400 for Burp this year. It was $350 last year. $2,500 for Nessus sounds about right. I don't know if they have a student discount or not. Yeah, it went up again. Cobalt Strike is $7K. We have Cobalt. I have no idea how much it is. But you don't need Cobalt Strike to do pen testing. It's nice, but you don't need it. Here we go. Let's boot this bad boy up. This does wonders for you too if you're doing Hack the Box or anything else along those lines. You can't use BurpSuite Pro on the OSCP if you're doing that. So you can use it in the labs, you just can't use it when it comes to the test. Okay, so this is the beta version. This is version 2. It's a little bit different. You can see the scanner tab's gone. I'm not sure how I feel about the new version quite yet. I'm still trying to decide, but I've been using it on the last couple assessments I've done these past couple weeks, and it's been fine. Okay, so we're going to pick a target. We're going to pick Tesla again, and you can see this intercept is on. Now, if we open up and we just say, okay, well, that's not what I wanted to have happen. Let's go to Tesla. Let's see what happens. All right. So we're on the Tesla website, but we need to make our browser talk to BurpSuite. Now you can absolutely do this if you're trying to follow along or just, kind of get used to BurpSuite. This is important anyway. I have a tool called Foxy Proxy here that I set up that just allows me to quick change into Burp. However, we're going to do it the old-fashioned way just so you can see it because you probably don't have Foxy Proxy installed. If we scroll down all the way down the bottom in the settings, we're going to go to our network settings. You're going to say manual proxy configuration. Go ahead and use the home address of 127.0.0.1 on port 8080 and make sure it's set for all protocols. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just use my Foxy Proxy to do that. Okay, now I've got this intercept on. Intercept on comes by default. You'll see what this does. Firefox is my preferred browser for doing assessments, yes. Okay, so we're refreshing the page. You can see it's hung up. If you look here, it intercepted the request that's getting sent. You can see that it's a GET request. And I don't want to dive too much into this. I'm just showing you some of the very, very basics. We have a lot of things that we can do with this request. We can sit here and alter it. We've got these cookies that are kind of given to us by the site. We can try altering things that are here. You can see the user agent. You can just see a bunch of header information and things like that. We can hit forward and see what happens. It looks like it's reaching out to Google TA or Google Tag Manager, if I could read. For that, you can just keep forwarding. With a site like Tesla, there's going to be a million things. So you can just turn the intercept off. So if you come into Target, you can see a bunch of stuff in here that is loading in. Anything that is coming through from this site, it's reaching out. So one of the most important things that we need to do is we need to right click on the site we want to test and just say add to scope. We'll hit yes to that, and we're going to come in here and we're going to click on this bar that says filter, and we're going to say filter only in scope items. So now Tesla.com is our in scope item. We don't have to look at anything else. Now what you can see that it's doing for us is it's actually going through and kind of spidering passively. It's looking through all the things that it can find, and it's even doing a little bit of scanning for us. So you can just kind of come through here and click on these things and find a little bit of information. Now, the old Burp used to have a right click and it would just say spider this branch. That is now gone. They have put that into the scan feature as well. But it is doing passive spidering by default. If you wanted to test more than just Tesla.com to your scope, there's some regex type feature that you can add to your scope that would include everything as a wildcard here instead of www.tesla.com. This is starting to get a little bit more advanced and on the web app side. But the most important thing to know is that we want to make sure that we only scan what is in scope. Yes, you'd have to check use advanced scope control for that. All right, so we're going to scan here. You can see that you can do a crawl and audit. You can do a crawl. You can audit selected items. It gives you all the items that you want here. I just pick all of them typically. But if you wanted one specific item, just like Tesla.com, just the home page, you could do that. If we wanted to scan through everything here, we could as well. You have the option to configure your scan. You could set resources here. Depending on the website, 10 goes very slow. Sometimes I bump it up to 100, but sometimes it also makes things air out like crazy. So you need to make sure that the website you're using can handle the concurrent requests that you're doing, or else it's just going to make you miss stuff. So 10's fine as a default, but if you wanted to create a new resource pool, you can. But for very, very, very basic features, we'll just select everything, hit OK. And we go to our dashboard and we can see that it is starting to scan. And it'll start to pick up issues as it goes along. We can sit here and say view details. Looks like it's found 2 informationals so far. You can double click on it. It used to have a better way of seeing the issues, but you have issue activity here. It found a robots.txt file. Those are always interesting. So you can see the request for the robots and then the response as to what's sitting in the robots. And then it has all the disallowed. So this gives you some directories. You can gather some information here. If you're looking at the robots.txt. So you see there's an admin here. A /admin as well. I don't know if that takes you to the /admin. I don't know if that's in scope. But they don't want you to see it on a Google search. So who knows what it does. Nothing there. But ideally, you'd want to crawl the site first and try to crawl as much as you can and then scan it after you've crawled everything. If I'm paying for share hosting, do I gain the right to scan my host provider legally as well? I don't think so. I don't think that's a yes. All right, so this is Burp. We're going to let that scan run as well. You can tell sometimes there's errors that come through here. It doesn't even look like we have any errors on ours, so that's good. Everything is scanning fine. This will take quite a bit of time, depending on how many subdirectories and files that we scan. We really didn't scan that many. If we view the details again, we come back to the details of the odd items. We scanned 25. 25 is not really a lot. You can see that it's running 10 threads concurrently like we suggested. So once it finishes one of these, it's going to move on. Depending on the insertion points, like this 11 insertion points, that'll be quicker, obviously, than 18. So we'll let this run and see if we can find anything interesting in it. All right, let's go back and check on our specific scans that we were running with Nessus and Nmap. All right, so Nikto is still running. Nmap is still running. We're down to 11 minutes, though. That's pretty good. And Nessus, oh, Nessus is finding some stuff. What kind of vulnerabilities do I have, guys? Says I got a Cisco ASA software CLI invalid command invocation. Epic Banana released by Shadow Brokers. Good thing I have no control over my router. It's got SSL information. DNS information. HTTP information. So let's see, is this done? It's done. So basically, we would come through here, and when we get to the enumeration phase, we would start looking through this and seeing what we can pull out. As of right now, we're just trying to gather as much information as we can. It's got a fully qualified domain name. It's got OS detection. That's interesting. It says it's running Cisco. Maybe. Service detection, 443. Yeah, 443 is open. Trace route information. So this is what we would do. We'd come in here and look, and we'll talk about enumeration next week. So we're going to wait on some of the scans. I will let them come back up as they go. I think I'm going to go into the Q&A early, and then we'll come back and hit on some of this stuff since nothing's really happening. I'm not expecting to see a lot from Tesla either, so I'm sure they've been picked pretty clean, but we'll see what comes up. So I'm going to switch over to the live scene, and we can do some quick Q&A. Questions on tonight in particular, or questions in general, are fine, but if you've got something that you saw that you would like to be seen or shown again, we can absolutely talk about that as well, because we're a little early. I will check out your script. Give me 1 second. Can I fall asleep drinking the monster so late? Yeah, probably. Let me get to that script in 1 second. J Delta, I will... Are you in the Discord, J Delta? If you are, you can just shoot me a message or a friend request. If not, I will find you on Twitter. I know your name on Twitter. That's a bad Discord link. Terrible Discord link. You know, I messed up something on Discord. I was trying to set some policies and I deleted a whole channel. And screwed myself because I had to reinstall the new invite link to... I can't even tell you how many places, and I knew I was going to miss more, and I obviously missed it. Yeah, it's a big rip. All right, there's that. Let me show you the proxy settings again. Let me get back over there. So it's 127.0.0.1. Let me pull it up though. You could take a gander at this while we wait. So there's your proxy settings. Okay, and I want to check this script out. I've got it open. I can copy and paste into this one. Let's check it. All right, we got an if statement. Are we reviewing the script or are we just running the script? What is your request, sir? Do you build or tweak your Kali box or just use it straight from the site? I use it straight from the site, and then I go back and I add what I need to. But most of the tools that I use come from there, or if I need to use something. So some of the tools are broken, like Responder's broken in the newest Kali, so I go wipe that out and put my own in. So we're searching for an argument. The argument doesn't exist. We send out our message. Okay, IP1, host 2. So we're only scanning a few UDP ports because UDP takes forever and sucks. Okay, storing our results. So he's running T5. The PN's treating all hosts as up, all ports, stealth scan on the IP address, and then he outputs it to the TCP results input here, which is going to be a text file when it comes out. If it doesn't, it skips. And then he finds the open TCP ports. He greps them out. He stores it into this variable. He gets out a port count, which, let's see what that does. TCP ports, 0. Oh, he's checking if the port count is 0. Got it. Similar stuff on the UDP side. Version scanning. This is a nice script. And then you're pulling out if you find a port or by the line, then he's going to do some sort of NSE Nmap scan here. And then he adds into it. That's very nice. That's well thought out. And it's in Bash, which I really appreciate. I like Bash. All right, let's run this guy. Call portscan, yeah. Uh-oh. Okay. Let me make this bigger here. So are you doing any verification on this? If I were to throw some weird IP address in here or the wrong octets or anything? Just out of curiosity. I know it's homegrown. Oh, that's true. Nmap's doing that, huh? That's true. Bye, J Delta. I see your friend request, by the way. I'm going to accept it right now. Right meow. We'll let this run as well. Let's check on our scans while we wait. So it found that the strict transport security wasn't enforced. We saw that already, right? This is a low finding, and it kind of has it as a severity of low, which is good. This deals with HSTS. See down here. Email address disclosed. Tricome B2B. I wonder what that is. Oh, it's the author of this. Open source MIT. I do use KeepNote. Sick of the Mind's just up in here with all the knowledge. I don't even have to explain anything. I'm digging it. How many sodas do I drink in a day? 0. I don't drink soda that often. Typically, I've been on like a LaCroix kick, I guess, just because it's 0 calories. I'll drink a Monster. I'd say I probably have 3 or 4 Monsters a week, or a Bang energy drink. I like those as well. But all Monsters in a day? Never more than 1 Monster a day. If for some reason, some strange reason, like I have one in the morning, then I have another one at night for some reason, or like I'm drinking Monster and vodka when I'm drinking, maybe, but typically not. Cherry Tree's pre-installed in Kali now. Correct. Tesla has a bounty which allows us to do this. They are out on bug bounty, so we are able to scan them publicly. Yeah, it's probably the latest version that comes with it. Let me see what's on this one. This one was 2018.4 when I installed it. So reporting. I never know what it's under. Useful applications, maybe. Yeah, see, it's under accessories here. Cherry tree. See how our other scripts are doing. Taking their sweet time. Still 7 minutes. Sure, no problem. Any other questions while we wait? Questions? You guys gonna let me off the hook early tonight? You DM me, buddy. You do that. Where's the full roadmap for these posted? Do I have it on Twitch? I have no idea if I have it on Twitch. I do have a roadmap. I don't have it on Twitch, though. I should probably put it on here. Uno momento, I will get you the roadmap. Yep, we'll be going over enumeration tomorrow, next week. So I don't know what the homework's gonna look like yet. I kind of just wing that, but we'll figure out. We'll probably have either a host internally or something that we can all do at the same time. Probably like a Vuln hub or something along those lines. And we'll go into detail about every little thing that we see and how we can enumerate that. So. Where are the rest of the homeworks? Any homework that I sent out that's been of any relevance is stored in the Discord channel and the... Let's see if I can pull it up. It's taking me forever. I'm getting slow. All right. Here you go. If you come into 0 to Hero, if you're in the Discord channel, you come into here, you go to the pinned messages, you got all the messages that I send out. Here was week 3 about homework, week 1, week 2, etc. So all the things that are important I pin in there. I need to put stuff on the site. I neglect my site. There's just so many places to update and so many things to do that I just don't have enough time. I really don't. Once the course is done, I'll probably take some time to actually organize it either into some sort of GitHub or on the website to where it's nice, neat, organized, has the homework, etc. But until we get to that point, it's just a little bit. But yeah, somebody else posted as well. There's the contact form. If you subscribe to that, you'll get an email when I send them out. No problem, no problem. Type fast and save my scripts. I need to. I need a repository for all this stuff. Honestly. You need to. Yeah, I do get people asking me for the parser script on like VOD videos, which is funny because you could just type out the script. I mean, it is available in the Discord, but you are fully capable of typing it out as well. That'd be cool, Em. I appreciate that. We can work something out. Bring this back over. Almost there. Although they tend to get hung up at 99 sometimes as well. But we've been going for an hour and 17 minutes on the scan. So some scans can take a long time. This is just a little bit of proof of that. Check on the old Tesla here. Sent 28,000 requests and we've really found next to nothing. So that's good. Is there anyone who speaks Spanish here on Discord? Oh God, you want to type racer me? Is this is from my bold speaking a few weeks ago, isn't it? Why are the majority of the people that work in InfoSec so threatened by people who they perceive could be more skillful than they are? I haven't noticed that. I'm sure there's egos, but there's egos in every field. So you should be welcoming of people that are potentially better than you are, because then you got something to learn, right? A typing race. All right, I'm going to play one typing race. I will entertain this idea. Just once. Dear Lord, I've got the screen blown up so much. Let's see. I type what's here. Oh man. This is forever. 3 minutes? Oh, no. I have to delete? That's shitty. Got him. I feel like I would have came in a little higher than 78 if I knew that I had to delete. Now that I know, I probably my average is around 90, so I feel like this is pretty close. All right. Now that that's over with, let's read some of these questions. The old days of mechanical typewriters, every mistake on a page counted -3 words per minute. Damn. I feel like I've missed some things. What did I miss? Okay. Do I ever fear for my safety or have, like, I'm going to discover the wrong thing and have retribution taken against me? No. I don't. Not in my line of work. I have gotten I've had some issues, I guess I'll say. I've had somebody send me a picture of my house once because they disagreed with an opinion I had, and that's just how the internet is. So I try not to give my opinion anymore unless it's something that I can concrete back up with tons and tons of evidence. So other than that, I have not had any situations or been in any environments where I'd have any fears like that. Yeah, picture of my house, man. Oh, it finished. Portscan finished. So it pulled UDP, but it didn't pull TCP. $35 words per minute. I told you I'd race you guys. Was it a Google Maps picture? Yeah, it was a Google Maps picture. I know who it was. I figured it out. Because they sent some messages to me on, I guess, my blog, and they didn't filter out their IP address. So I was able to piece together some evidence and discover who it was. No, it was a random guy in the industry. Just didn't agree with my opinion on something. He ended up apologizing at some point. Once I called him out on it, he ended up apologizing. I never heard from him again. So it's not hard to find my home address. It's really not, unfortunately. You feel that I need some physical protection or treated? Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Is the TCP file empty? I don't know. What would the TCP file come out as? Or better yet, let me take this. Since this is my work computer, I've got files and stuff on here. I don't want to LS and then screw that up. So give me 1 second. You get this screen for a second. Don't tell me to LS. You ain't getting my files. No, it came up blank. Here, I'll bring it back. Host timeout. The internet, I wouldn't say the internet makes people go crazy. I feel like on the internet, there's a few things, right? There's these people like keyboard warriors, I like to call them. You can be big, bad, and tough on the internet, right? That's one thing. The second thing is we're in this phase where it's so easy to just put somebody down because they don't agree with your opinion or you don't agree with their opinion, instead of having a logical conversation and saying, okay, I don't agree with your opinion and here's why. It's, I don't agree with your opinion, your family should die in a fire. You know, like they go right for personal attacks, family attacks. They try to discredit you as a person, as opposed to saying, okay, well, I see your reasoning, but here's my reasoning as to why I think you're wrong. There's professional ways to disagree with people, and people on the internet do not do that most of the time. I would hope that the host isn't down sick in the mind, and I say that because it's my router, so I'm on the internet. Yeah, I won't get into politics and religion, but I see where you're coming from. Maybe it did block me. We shouldn't dox people. That was the lesson I learned, so that was my lesson. I did dox the guy, and I shouldn't have. And we're at the 99.99% where it tends to get stuck too. I would like you guys to see what a full scan looks like. But the whole purpose here is just to be able to narrow down, right? We talked about scanning today, but we're really going to talk about why we're doing it, I feel like, which I'm going to harp on next week, but we're really going to be looking at what services are open. That's the most important thing. If you didn't catch on to that already, I'm sorry. I could have probably explained that a little better. You bought a new router? I'm getting an Amazon link here. Trend AC 3000. It's got decent reviews. I don't know too much about this. I unfortunately have to use AT&T's router, which is no bueno. I've got a decent router sitting in the closet that I used in my last house. I'll be straight honest with you guys that I am not the home network tinker that you would probably hope that I am, but I do a few things to patch some things up and make sure everything's up to date, but I am not a by any means am I like a home tinker. Like some of you guys go Balls to the wall. Am I on the AT&T Uverse thing? Yeah, I am. It's all about that Uverse. They make you run through that shitty box. I'm sure I could probably get around it, but... Dude, this router is so terrible. For one, you access the router and it tells you like the Wi-Fi password. You don't even have to be on, like you could just be on the network. Like say you plugged in, literally it just tells you the Wi-Fi password. You can't do port forwarding without doing some, in order for me to port forward, I have to specifically specify what it is that I'm doing, like some type of game that I select, and then I have to have my VM running on bridged mode so that it picks up its own IP address. So basically, I have to plug in, like, I do all kinds of crazy shit just to get try to get an external shell. I plug this guy in. I run my VM in bridge mode off of that guy, and then I have to port forward off of like Age of Empire from 12,000 something random. I can't pick my ports. I can't do anything. You've noticed that I've got Hackerboxes. Hey, we're done. I do have Hackerboxes. I've got 4 or 5 now, and I have not built a single one of them. So I am still subscribed. I just have not had the time. I've almost considered giving some of these away. I don't know who would actually want them. I don't want to just do a giveaway, for no reason. But plus, I've stolen some of the stickers. What's my desk setup look like? I've got monitors on each side. I'll have to take a picture at some point. But I mean, it's not that messy. I could try to pull it off and show you. So 3 monitors. I've got my large pad here, RGB everything, my microphone, RGB mouse, controller, desk. Got my little Maverick thing there, and my just the gaming setup and everything else. But pretty much everything's RGB that I can control. I'm getting a tan. You'll take the rest with... I can have the stickers. That's so nice of you. I do need a ultra wide at some point, but I do enjoy this. This was my gaming setup that I decided to move. I used to record everything on my laptop. Everything was done through my laptop, and then I decided to move everything over here just because it was taking forever, like 2 hours to process videos on my laptop. So I made this my desk, but I needed more monitors. It was just a single monitor gaming station. We'll see what kind of information we got out of this. For the weight, it doesn't look like a lot. Okay, it tells you what type of DNS I'm running. DNS mask 2.78. Fingerprinting. It's a 400. Timeout. 400. 500. It's not getting anything. 443 has a 400. It's going to be the same thing. Found that it's an Eris group. It's got a valid cert. Not a lot of interesting information here. This 10999 is open, which I don't actually know what that is. Maybe somebody's got a port out open on me. Maybe I've been hacked. What is 1099? Any of you networking gurus know? What is port 10999 used for? It doesn't say. I don't know what's open on that. My router's tax returns. I might have to look at that. Who knows what that is? Netcat to it? We can netcat to it. Unknown. Uh-oh. Just closes. Hello? Who the hell knows what that is? That's sketchy. Connected. Uh-oh. Well, that's handy. It's open on my router. Let me just log into the router, huh? Did I restart it lately? I have not restarted lately. I doubt I'm going to see anything on here. $10.99 is different. This is $10.999. I don't think it has anything to do with this anyway. Exactly. It's a remote system, not a Kali instance. But it's becoming interesting. Let's look at my gallery. Where is my photo of my router? because you know that's how I keep security. Oh yeah, it's my router. I don't think it's Steam. I don't have any NAT or anything going on. Is it accessible from my external? I don't know. Hi, Mim Onyx. How you doing? Thank you for joining me. This doesn't really say shit. This doesn't have anything about ports being open, any of that stuff. This is a terrible interface. I don't see anything in the NAT tables at all. I know this is not really interesting for you guys. I can give you guys... I just don't know if it's going to have my public IP, and then I'm going to dox myself. It's possible. The thing is, I don't see it anywhere on the firewall, the router, nothing. Not a thing. If you look, let me see my diagnostics. So none of these, if you look at the NAT table, are 10999. We're on a mission. Have I been hacked? We did a -A on everything. It would show. It just says open unknown. Yeah, there's really nothing coming back. I think it would have a web return if we were to do anything, right? Yeah. I would imagine it's still open. Yeah, let's Wireshark it. Why not? Oops. There's a good three-way handshake for you guys. Nothing of relevance. You know, I'm making this connection, and I'm trying to look in the logs. I don't see anything. I'm not terribly concerned about it, to be honest. Yeah, it's probably something dumb, to be honest with you. I'm looking at the device list, device history. I don't see anything. I mean, clearly they could have cleared all this out, but I'm not going to stress. This is how you get paranoid. If you are already aware. Your first net stat will get you really paranoid. Bye, MTX. Nice seeing you, man. You managed to get here at the end of the stream, unfortunately. We stream every week at 8 Eastern. For what that's worth. Hey, Jake. Yeah, I'm probably heading out myself. How much HTML do you need to know? What do you need to... Okay, well, let me backtrack. What do you want to do when you grow up, cool dad? What is it that you want to be? How soon do I upload? So officially, I'm not allowed to upload for 24 hours, Jake, but sometimes they get in there a little sooner than that. If you keep it a secret, I'll keep it a secret. You want to be a cool dad? They're also up on Twitch right away, but everybody seems to like the YouTube version better. Don't know why. They're the same thing. You want to be cool, son? You guys are silly. You know, there's a small drop-off every week. And I feel like the more advanced we get, the fewer it's going to be. And that's really how pen testing is. We were talking about this today. My boss's boss asked me if I felt like teaching pen testing, if I was creating a commodity, as in, am I bringing more people into the field and potentially like risking my job? And I said, there's no way. I could start off with 1,000 people, and there's no way, because not everybody can do it. Just like Rory just said, not everybody can do it. It takes a special mentality of being able to overcome obstacles, to want to learn constantly. You got to have this need or desire to always want to learn. And you get a bunch of people that hear the glamour of what this may be, you know, oh, I want to be a hacker, but not everybody wants to put in the effort. Or it's also not as glamorous as people make it out to be. It's not like the movies, right? So I think once people start coming in here and they're finding out what it's like, you're going to start seeing people drop off. So this is very, very expected, almost. Procrastinating your reports? That was me all day yesterday, man. Like, so as a pen tester, I love getting the bloodbaths, right? Where you destroy a client. It's fun. That's the most fun on the job. But then you have to write that report, and that report is long. So part of me sometimes likes not finding anything because then that report's awfully short. And that debrief is awfully short as well. The debrief on a bloodbath, there's points to where it's so bloody that you start thinking, do I even need to include this lower stuff when there's so much higher stuff going on? And the answer sometimes is no. Like producing music, not everybody can do it, right? Yeah, I love music. I was talking to my wife, and she said if I could go back, I told her in another life I'd go back and be a music producer, just because like I love it. Played instruments growing up, still have instruments, but I don't have that ear. You got to have the ear, right? You got to have that knack, and it definitely translates. Like some people just aren't cut out, and that's fine. Doesn't mean that you won't be a good IT person. It just means that you're not cut out for this field. It takes a very special person. I do believe that the mentality, if you looked at pen testers, you would find some sort of similar trait in their personality or mentality. Doesn't mean that the personalities don't differ, but I feel like there's something there that would be similar across most of them. What percentage of my job is pen testing? What percentage is writing reports? It depends how much you can offload to the report. Typically, I would give it 75 pen testing, 25 reporting. Some people say 50-50, but it was definitely 50-50 when you first start out. And I'll say that's 50-50 for any company that you first start out with. You could be advanced pen tester. You still have to learn how they want their reports written. So you'll spend a lot more time trying to conform to their reports. I remember the first report I wrote, basically I took all my findings and I went and looked at all the reports I could look at to find the similar or exact findings. That way I can copy the wording and paste it in and have it look very similar. Some places have repositories of information to where they'll have those historical findings and you can just select it, click it, and it'll put it into a document. So it just depends on where you work and how much of the process they've automated. Ours isn't that automated, but you get quicker as you go. Have I seen any newbies that impress me? What kind of skill level do they have? So for me, in particular, the ones that impress me are the ones that you can tell are above and beyond. There is this, even I went through it. There's this stigma, right? When you're coming through and you pass your OSCP, you have this swagger. You know, you've got it. You got the OSCP, and you're ready to take on the world. Well, some people figure out that that's not enough. You got to go do even more before you can really land a good job. Those are the people that impress me. The people that have had no job experience, but can, and they have their OSCP, but they can talk to even more than that, right? They can talk to, the OWASP top 10. They can talk about internal pen testing tools. And these are things that come with either, reading research, building your own lab and setting it up, doing a hack the box, doing Vuln hubs. Just this extracurricular activity is really what's going to set you apart from somebody else, especially if you have no experience. So you can have a non-experienced skill level and still impress a lot of people. Also, what impresses me is people that are active in the community. Like if I'm hiring, my first go-to is somebody obviously that can talk the talk during an interview, but I want somebody that's active in the community, right? Do they have a blog? Do they have a Twitter? Do they go to conferences? Do they talk at conferences? Do they participate in their local meetups? Somebody that is doing that and is community driven, I see highly upon. At the same time, you absolutely have to have your worker bees, right? There's plenty of people here that are antisocial, that just want to go in, do the work, get it done, and be done. They don't want to write blogs. They don't want to do anything, and that's fine too. You have different mindsets and types of people. Some people have families and other things that they're way more important, right? Again, that's fine. So you have this mixture of people, but the people that I have preference towards are the people that can come in and talk the talk and show me something behind it, that they're putting effort back into the community. Those are really impressive people. The struggle with the field is that you always feel stupid, always. Yeah, that's 100% true. 100% true. If I had to interview tomorrow, I would be knots in my stomach because you just don't feel like you ever know enough, right? You just don't. If you feel like you know enough, you think you're better than everybody else, either you are truly the best or there is something wrong with you. But everybody can learn. Everybody has something to teach everybody else, right? You don't know everything, you'll never know everything, and you can always learn something from somebody else. I'm not saying that it doesn't get to a point to where you've become the smartest person in the room. I have my own theories on that. If you feel, honest to God, feel that you are the smartest person at your job, you should quit. If it has come to that point where you cannot learn any more from the people around you, you should quit. Always work on being the dumbest person in the room. Always try to feel stupid. What is this scanning tool for? Which scanning tool? If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to find a new room. That's 100% accurate. Good statement. Oh, we already covered the scanning tools and tactics. We're on our little AMA portion now. You can catch the VOD. It's honestly probably already got VOD up and running if you wanted to backtrack. Thanks, Em. I appreciate that. And I try. So somebody said something about comparing yourself to Twitter and Twitch All-Stars. I'm a very competitive person. I try not to compare myself to them. Like you strive to be them, right? And I'll give you an example though, but you got to have baby steps. You can't just like try to take out whoever the top dog is, right? Like you have to have these baby steps. For me, when I first announced that I even had the idea that I wanted to come to Twitch and do a live stream, somebody commented, I'm not going to name any names or anything. Somebody commented on my post and said, yeah, but so-and-so is already doing that. Okay, that's fine. So-and-so is already doing it. I didn't think that I would be the only one. I didn't think my idea was original. However, I looked at this person's Twitch. I saw the number of followers this person had, and I set this goal. The person had 300 and something followers. I said, I want to beat that. That was my first goal. That's all I wanted. I wanted to beat that. I wanted to get to that point, to at least, be on my competitive side and achieve that. And then once you get to that point, you look at the next goal. And the same thing with anything, right? You have that with jobs. You say, I want a salary, I want a position. Like you take your stepping stones. You don't become the CEO overnight. So yeah, you have these people that you look up to and you idolize, but you got to take the baby steps to get to that point. So that's my way of thinking about it. I'm a super competitive person though. Are online degrees suitable? Is online college suitable for these degrees? Depends what you're doing. If you're talking like Georgia Tech's online computer science, sure. If you're talking like University of Phoenix online cybersecurity program, you probably could save your money and do something else. You don't have to have a college degree to work in the field, especially because it's so niche. But it certainly helps you get interviews, and it certainly helps you rise in rank and helps you with promotions. You have to weigh the ROI on that, the return on investment. Is your ROI, is it worth spending money on? If you spend $50,000 on a degree, are you going to get more than $50,000 back in your lifetime from it? And the time lost. So you got to think about your opportunity costs. What could you have been doing during other time when you were spending time at class, working on homework? Is the opportunity cost worth it, right? So those are things to think about. Is there a way to get an internship for a computer science major if I'm not really good at programming? You just need to apply around, get a good resume. Try to go to college events if you have them. Try to network with people. Talk to your professors. Your professors might know people. Finding jobs, especially internships, even every job. It's all about who you know a lot of the time. So if you can network, I know it's hard as a computer science or any type of IT person to talk to people. We're an anti-social group, right? But just try to network, go to events, do what you can. They have a lot of job interviewing and hiring events, all kinds of stuff that can really help land you an internship. What sets an SRE above others? What's an SRE? Site reliability engineer, site resiliency. I don't know enough to talk about that, to be honest with you. I wish I did. Sorry, I'm starting to catch up. I'm been rambling. What's the funniest thing I've found in pen testing? Okay, the things that make me chuckle the most are when I crack passwords. The passwords are hilarious. You can imagine, and I don't have any specific examples that I can provide, and the ones that I'm thinking of are quite X-rated, but you can imagine what some people put in their password thinking that nobody will ever see it. And honestly, that is some of the best enjoyment is when you are looking through passwords that you've cracked. Because you can see how some people really feel about life. I have cracked okay, let me backtrack that. There was a Cisco vulnerability that allows you to pull Cisco config files. I pulled the config file and dumped it was a type 7 password, so those are crackable. Dumped the type 7 password, and it was something like it's literally like, you can't hack me. Like, it's silly stuff, man. What do I think about WGU? I know a lot of people in IT take WGU. Personally, I am heavily biased towards brick and mortar, only because I suffered through the brick and mortar, and seeing people come out with a bachelor's degree in a year and a half doesn't feel like a bachelor's degree to me. If it gets you to check a box, then check the box, but I wouldn't consider it a true bachelor's degree, if that makes sense. But on the caveat, or the other side of that argument, is that you come out with a lot of certifications, you come out with a piece of paper, and you can kind of do it at your own pace. So if it's something that can motivate you or keep you active in learning and getting your certifications, then by all means. If it's somewhere that you can use it to check a box, yeah. But if you're up against somebody from a real brick and mortar school, chances are, depending on where you're applying, that brick and mortar is going to get a little bit more consideration than WGU will. Just from an elitist like me, not that I went to a great school. No school or training can replace military cyber training. Somebody said join the Air Force, not the Army. 1000% agree on that, coming from somebody who was in the Army. So Air Force cyber is on point. Army cyber is on point too, but you really will not learn better training than what you're going to learn. However, be prepared to deploy a lot. If you don't have a family, it's probably a pretty cush job if you're okay with the deployments. Recommendations to learn bug bounties over the course of a year. You're going to want to pick up probably the Web Application Hacker's Handbook. You're going to want to start there. Start reading HackerOne reports. I'm not one for public bug bounties, but just start going on there. Maybe start poking around at the public programs that are for swag or for kudos instead of money. Those programs are typically less saturated and have more opportunities to at least get some findings and get some things or reputation under your belt. Your goal is to get enough findings to get a private opportunity. The more private opportunities, the more lucrative it's going to be because there's not as many people doing the same work. So the public bug bounties are picked pretty dry. Army #1 job's always a soldier. Yes, but I disagree on that. The Army cyber program is really good. It's really good. You're not going to be shooting at people in the Army cyber program. If you're getting attacked, you'll know how to shoot somebody, sure, but your focus is going to be cyber if they're putting you through a 1-year school. It's a 1-year school. Your focus will absolutely be on cyber. A VetSec fight? No VetSec fights. Army cyber is the better program. Air Force is the better branch. The people speak the truth. Army's throwing ridiculous money. U.S. Army? Or is it a different army? Because I know you're not U.S. based. I'm just curious. Every Western. I can tell you that the Army would not take me into their cyber program. That was me trying to transfer in as an officer, but still, would not consider me, give me the time of day. Part of the reason I left the army. I mean, I was already in the army. They wouldn't take me. Does the army do drug tests? The military does drug tests randoms all the time. I like how this has turned into a military discussion. I didn't realize so many vets were lurking in here. DeVry is still a thing? I'm just talking shit. Sorry. I mean, ITT Tech went down. I just figured DeVry was going with them. Dunwoody? I've never heard of Dunwoody. I won't comment on the marijuana being legalized. If only to avoid a political conversation. But I'm a millennial, so you can probably figure out how I feel. You guys are blowing me up on the DMs. Somebody said I look tired. Do I look tired? I'm a little tired. I tried CBD. I felt no different on CBD. Zero difference. Some people say it works for them. Good for them. My issue, as you may notice, is sleeping. I don't sleep enough. I don't sleep well enough. I wake up too much in the night. So I tried CBD for that. I've tried whatever that melatonin. Melatonin works. Flour? Weed works very well. Weed will put me right to sleep. However, I'm in a non-legal state, and my employer frowns upon it. So, I'm a good boy. I stick to my melatonin chewies. The problem with melatonin is that it wakes me up in the like I wake up in the middle of the night with it. I can't. It knocks me out, but I still wake up. Like an edible will put you to sleep. At least me. It put me to sleep through the night, perfect sleep, no issues, as long as I get like a certain amount of time, right? With melatonin, I can wake up whenever and be fine, but I feel like with an edible, you have to sleep X amount of time for it to be okay. Everything else just doesn't work. Too much screen time? Yeah, probably. The connection closed so quickly because the connection was booting me. Whatever I was sending to it didn't like that connection. Does screen time affect sleep? Screen time affects sleep. Especially if you don't keep the blue light filter or whatever that shit is on. That definitely helps. Yeah, I've tried the blue light filter. You guys are too elite for me. I can't even keep up with your conversation. Let's see how Tesla's doing. Tesla's not finding anything. Oh, we're done too. We also didn't really we didn't crawl this as well as we could have, to be honest. See, we should have crawled first. Look at all the stuff that's coming through. See, now we'd have to go back and scan all this stuff. But the point was not to show you the appropriate paths in web pen testing. Just that BurpSuite is a fantastic scanner. What is TCDS? I am on the new version. New version for life. It's alright. There's some pros and cons. Electric shock therapy? You guys cray. Oh, it does show. Okay. I was gonna say I missed the scan that was over here. Or at least a spider. It had a spider tab, but it shows over here on the crawl. It's just learning all the new little things. We got way more stuff now. Like if we were to scan this, got a ton more stuff. I'm surprised it's not showing previously scanned, unless that's a different thing. Out of scope. I feel like because add a task, there you go. URLs with no parameters will greatly reduce the scan time. That is correct. I typically scan whatever I can overnight, but we just added a fuck ton of stuff to this. I don't know if it, yeah, it did take out all the, no, it didn't take out duplicates. We're still scanning that. But there's a different amount of insertion points, so I think that's why it's not counting it as a duplicate. Spiders and crawling would be the same thing. Brute forcing is more of like dir busting. I don't like that it says audit finished. Other than that, it's not too bad on this update. I like to see like the scan still showing. All right, I'm ringing the 15-minute bell. I think even with the monster, I'm probably gonna fall asleep really easy tonight. So 11 o'clock for me, guys. Some Overwatch? I wish. I haven't played Overwatch in a few weeks. You need somebody to lose with. Have we played before? I feel like we may have played once. I know that I played with Leah a lot, and she also has an X in her name, so I get you guys confused in the beginning. Yeah, I figured we played once or twice. I haven't ranked this season. Oh, yeah, I remember that. I've taken some time off of ranking. Competitive takes a lot of concentration, of which I haven't had time to put forth that effort. Not that I'm good by any means. You're the best of your character on your team. It's a pretty bold statement. All right, I've edited out the stupid Discord channel. And also fixing that elsewhere. All right, should be fixed. You don't play enough mystery heroes then, Zalton, because you can get two of the same character, and then I don't know if you would be the best. Do companies hire people to jack up others to infiltrate the servers? Does that happen? Sure. Do we hear about it? Probably not. I'm a believer that most things like that have happened, but if you're hacking ethically, they'll know you're there. That's part of the whole ethical thing. You have permission granted to do it. Otherwise, it's not ethical. Any other questions? Comments? Concerns? Reading WAPT reviews? I recommend it highly, but you already know that. I've got a review out there somewhere. I had a nice video review, but I ended up losing that, unfortunately. Hi, Amber. How are you doing? Was this my video? What am I clicking on? I have no idea if it was my video because it shows video unavailable. It was tied to my blog post. Good night. Cheers. That's all I got for you. Some people go into some specifics in terms of how many vulnerabilities that they find. and like specific numbers, and you know, I did not go that far, but if you do your due diligence, you will find that. Now, I think I saw it. I remember reading it. However, it's did you have permission? Are they on the bug bounty program of any sort? So there's a fine line of stumbling upon an issue like that, and there's a whole other fine line of saying, you know, I was just inspecting the way you do things and how the API interacts or whatever. And that quickly can become you pen testing their system without permission. Even if you find something, people have gone to jail for doing that. There's, you know, it used to feel like, I'm not going to say back in my day, but back in the day, that people would, you know, hack a company and maybe get a job offer, but now they're quick to prosecute. So I would be very careful with doing that without permission and without a bug bounty program. Be very, very careful on that. Yeah, you can report it if they don't do anything about it. Like that's even a question of ethics too. Is how long do you give it to report? So I mean, there's some tools, like if you're doing like trying to find bugs or CVEs, that's a whole nother story. Like if you have the software and you're using it on your own environment. But it's a completely different story if you're interfering with any type of live production environment, and a website would fall under that. So just be happy that they weren't angry with you, because that could have gone south really quick. A suggested reading on the boundary? Not that I know of. Just if you don't have explicit permission to pen test, then don't pen test. That's the boundary. Use a proxy on your phone. Yeah, it's not like you just stumbled across some sort of flaw, you know? What about the first episode of Game of Thrones? I'm not going to be that guy who spoils it. It felt like a building episode, is what I'll say. It didn't feel like it had a lot of action. Just for there only being 6 episodes, I felt like it was going to be long and jam-packed full of stuff, but it felt like it was really building up a story. So I'm expecting some very long fights, I guess. I don't know what's going to happen. But we got a tidbit of information towards the end, which you anticipated. I don't know if I anticipated it happening so soon, but it was lackluster, in my opinion. LED case fans. I think I have it posted down below. Let me look and see if I can copy that. here. If that helps. I don't know if I recommend the case. I'm 50-50 on this case. It's fine, it's just there was literally no room for a power supply, a simple power supply. And it was really, really no room to mount hard drives. I had to take out the hard drive, I guess sliding, whatever you call them, the docks, just to be able to fit the cabling for the power supply, and the motherboard interferes with the mounts that they've put up for SSDs. They've got mounted on like the actual case itself. Those interfere, so that didn't work. I ended up being able to mount one of my drives. I had to zip tie the other drive down, and I happen to have a motherboard that allows for M2 slots, so I bought an M2 as well. Other than that, it's a pretty case. It's pretty on the outside, but not much going on the inside. It's could have been designed a little bit better. It is cool. I'll show you though. It has more than just those fans. It's got the 2 fans in the back too that they cycle through. So I do like that. Luka Doncic for Vince Carter. Why would we want Vince Carter back? Get out of here. I wouldn't even trade him for Trey. Get out of here. We know who the unanimous Rookie of the Year is. It's Doncic. I'm glad an Atlanta fan can admit that. It makes me happy. I've got my fingers crossed and my toes and everything else that we win that draft pick, because I don't want to ship you guys like a 6. I think it's top 5 protected. Really don't want to ship you guys a 6. We are just outside the top 5, but we've got a chance. We've got a chance. Well, that's all I want in this life. Honestly, we've got like a 5% chance to get the first pick. I'll take that. That's better than it used to be in the past. So, I'll take that all day. Could you imagine KP, Luka, and Zion? Come on now. That would be filthy. Filthy young, too. Not happening. But a guy can dream. It would be dirty. And I have a feeling, although I have this feeling a lot, and I'm usually wrong, that we're going to be pulling somebody in free agency at least worthwhile. I'm not talking like Kevin Durant, but I feel like a Klay Thompson caliber. I don't know if he's leaving, but somebody like that. Kyrie. I don't know if I'd want Kyrie. To be honest, I don't think Kyrie wants to leave the spotlight where he's at. Take him? No, thank you. Is Carter retiring this year? Is this his last year? Did he officially? Or is he staying on again? Because I haven't heard any retirement hype. Damn, one more. That's impressive. I heard him saying something about wanting to retire when Dirk was going to retire. Or they wanted to go out together kind of deal. But it didn't look like that happened. I was hoping Dirk would go for one more too. All right, my people, I have gone 5 minutes past my bedtime already. I thank you all for joining the stream. You guys have been awesome as always. I expect to see less of you next week. And we're going to be covering enumeration, so we'll scan again, but this time we'll actually look at what we're doing with our scans and how to dig deep on some of this stuff. So we'll be catching you then. Thanks for joining me.